Hey gang, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, and in today's video, we're going to be back at it looking at some more NBA player props for tonight's 2-game NBA slate. When I last saw you, it was a couple nights ago. We had 3 picks, I believe, out of the 5 that ended up hitting. Last night, I did not choose to make a video because I just wasn't feeling it. That Brooklyn Nets and Milwaukee Bucks game seemed very, very tricky, especially when you consider a guy who's as impactful as James Harden. He's in the lineup, but we know he's not 100% healthy. It kind of throws a big old monkey wrench in our plan. So I just kind of decided to tweet some stuff out. I think, 1 or 2 of the picks ended up hitting. I tweeted out some hockey picks and stuff too. But anyway, we're back at it again today with a good video. I'll have 5 picks to discuss: points, assists, rebounds, and a couple of 3-point props that I'm really feeling. Now, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, as the picks in this video are subject to change after this video goes up. You'll have about an hour or so if you play on PrizePicks to lock in some of these picks if you're liking them. If you're not liking them, don't take them. Quite easy for you to just fade any of the picks that I'm talking about in the video, but I think we usually do a pretty good job of researching these picks together in these videos. Now, today is Follower Friday, so be on the lookout. If you don't follow me on Twitter, follow me at Curry the Creator. Follower Friday means basically whenever I tweet out a entry, if you guys tail it and it ends up hitting, you'll end up getting a payout boost on what the normal payout is for that winning entry. So I believe it's a 25% payout boost. So it's just a little way to kind of spice things up on a Friday and, potentially put some more money in your pocket. So definitely keep an eye out for that. So without further ado, if you do not play on PrizePicks, now's a great time to go ahead and sign up. Please think about joining, and if you do, use promo code Curry. You'll see it down at the banner, bottom of this video, and I'll leave a link down in the description of the video if you decide you want to deposit. They're doing a 100% instant deposit match. You put in $20, they'll match your $20. You have $40 to get going. You can do all the way up to $100, and they'll match that. So double your money for free, right? So you can't really beat that. Use promo code Curry. Link down in the description below. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start breaking down this game. We've got the Philadelphia 76ers at the Atlanta Hawks. What a crazy game when these two teams last met. Philadelphia looked like they were going to just steamroll the Atlanta Hawks. But you put up that Dikembe Mutombo, not so fast, because the Atlanta Hawks had plans of their own. They ended up working their way back into the game, taking the lead late in the game and winning the game and taking commanding lead of this series 3-2. Philadelphia's looking to get a win tonight. Their backs are against the wall. If they don't win, they go home, and what a major letdown that would be. So very interesting situation tonight. So 221.5 implied points with Atlanta as 2.5-point underdogs at home. Now, typically you see the home team in these series as a slight favorite, but in this case, they are the underdog. So can Atlanta be the upset kids once again? I don't know. We'll have to tune in and find out. And the other game we have is the Utah Jazz at the Los Angeles Clippers. This one has a 221 implied point total, with the Clippers, again, just like the Hawks, a 2.5-point home underdog in this case. And the main reason why is because Kawhi Leonard is out for the rest of this series and most likely out for the rest of the playoffs and quite possibly out for next season with a ACL injury. We don't know how serious it is yet, but that is pretty heartbreaking if you're a Los Angeles Clippers fan or a fan of Kawhi Leonard. Now, some encouraging news on the Utah side of things. Mike Conley Jr. makes his return back to the Utah Jazz starting lineup tonight, so that might shake things up a little bit for the Utah Jazz. Guys like Royce ONeal, who have been hitting their point props, guys like Donovan Mitchell, who have just been going absolutely bonkers with 30-plus point games, they might kind of fall down back to earth again. Joe Ingles, he's another one we've been taking the over on fantasy points, or at least some people in our Discord community have. By the way, if you want to join the Discord community, it's free to do. Link down in the description of the video. But yeah, so this could be a tricky situation to navigate with Mike Conley Jr. returning back to the lineup. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and start talking about some of the player props that I'm really liking. Now, this first guy that I'm going to talk about, we mentioned him a couple nights ago in our last video, and that's Marcus Morris, who's at 16.5 points. Still seems like a deal to me, a bargain at 16.5. I believe he ended up going for over 20 points in his last outing with Kawhi Leonard. The first game with Kawhi Leonard out of the lineup, Marcus Morris stepped up in a big way, and he smashed his points props. I kind of think that he could do it again. as this game tips off at 10:20 p.m. over on PrizePicks. So let's go ahead and start things off here. We're going to look up Marcus Morris's name on Numberfire. By the way, Numberfire, completely free for you to use. They've got projections for fantasy points, projections for all your favorite NBA single stat points, rebounds, assists, steals. They don't pay me to use their site. I just like their site because it's free and, it's been pretty accurate so far. So definitely check them out. Marcus Morris is projected for 16.2 points tonight, which puts him right in the neighborhood of 16.5. Somewhere between 16 and 17 should be expected for Marcus Morris, although I think he's got more upside than that and has the potential to go for 20 plus in this situation here. So we'll head over to NBA.com. You can see that for the season, Marcus Morris, 13.4 points per game. Excuse me, not a bad scoring average for the season. We'll go and look at his last 5 games here. Going all the way back here to June 8th, you could see that he ended up scoring just 9 points, 8 points, 6 points. But look at his last 2 games here, 24 points and 25 points. So like I said, guys, he obviously has that 20 plus point upside. So really liking Marcus Morris in this one. We'll click the stats category here, and then we will scroll on down and look at how well he's done cumulatively throughout the playoffs. He's appeared in 12 different playoff games, playing over 33 minutes per game, 12.7 points per game, so that's not very impressive, but again, the Kawhi factor. Kawhi's out of the lineup, Marcus Morris taking on a much bigger role. All that usage, all those shots that Kawhi Leonard was getting have to go somewhere, and I think Marcus Morris is the prime candidate to absorb a lot of those stats. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and we'll jump ahead to RotoWire. We'll take a look at Marcus Morris. We just type in his name, RotoWire, again, another free site for you to check out. And at 17.5 points, we've got him at actually 17.5, 16.5, and 16.5. So he's at 17.5 and 16.5 across 3 different sports books. Now, this first one at 17.5, they have him going under 17.5. But the other 2 books, you could see he's a minus 118 to go over and a minus 128 to go over. So somewhere between 16.5 and 17.5 lies 16 points. So it's kind of looking like he's setting up for, 17 points. 16.5 and 17.5 in the middle of 17 points. So it's setting up for like 17 points for Marcus Morris tonight. So again, this is looking like a good situation, a good scenario here for Marcus Morris to hit 17 or more points. I like the upside in this matchup. So Marcus Morris is an over for me. All right, so with that one out of the way, let's go ahead and move over to the assist prop. We've got Ben Simmons, who's at 7.5 assists today. I like Ben Simmons to go over, and he's been going over with pretty good consistency. Let's go ahead and move back over to Numberfire. We'll click the assist category here and type in Ben Simmons' name. And we've got him up here at 8 assists. That's his projection tonight. So that is perfect because we just need him to have 8 or more dimes in this situation. So if we are looking to lean toward the over, the 8 assist number is a good one. Now we move over to his regular season stats. You can see he's averaging 6.9 assists per game throughout the regular season. That puts him right in the ballpark of this 7.5 assist prop. Let's go look at how his last 5 games have stacked up in terms of dishing the basketball. Well, going back to his 5th game in his game log, back on June 6th, he's got 10 assists. That's good for a cover. Falls just short here with 7 and 7, but in his last 2 games, he has answered the call with 9 assists in both of those games. So in his last 5 games, guys, he's got 3 games in which he's covered this 7.5 assist prop. That's a pretty good conversion rate if you ask me. Let's scroll back up. We'll go to the stats category here, and we will scroll on down and look at how well he's done throughout the playoffs in terms of assists. So he's appeared in 10 games, averaging over 34 minutes per game. And you can see his assists per game average throughout the playoffs is 8.8 assists. Had his rebounds highlighted there for a second. 8.8 assists, putting him well over the 7.5 assists mark, putting him up there almost at 9 assists per game. So definitely can get this done for us tonight. I'm feeling pretty confident that Ben Simmons will come out motivated after all the trash talk about him and his teammate Tobias Harris not stepping up. I expect a motivated Ben Simmons tonight. So let's go ahead and type in Simmons' name here into RotoWire. We've got him at 7.5 assists across the industry tonight. Major odds here on the over. Minus 152 for the over, minus 140, and capping things off with a very strong position of a -149 on the over for Ben Simmons. Everything's looking good here. I like the way things are lining up here for Ben Simmons in this 7.5 assist prop. I'm going to ride with the over. That's just the way I'm feeling about it, though. You guys do what you want to do. All right, so with that one out of the way, let's go ahead and talk rebounds. And a guy who's been crushing his rebound prop pretty regularly here is going to be Mr. Royce, the 5'9" ONeal, who's at 6.5 rebounds. At 6.5 rebounds, I like him to go over, so 7 or more rebounds. Yes, Mike Conley Jr. comes back into the fold tonight, but I don't think that impacts Royce ONeal's rebounds all that much. You know, cross your fingers. I'm hoping it doesn't, but 6.5 boards, I think this is one that can definitely be covered here by Mr. Royce ONeal. So let's head back to number fire. We will click the rebounds category, and let's go ahead and do a search here for Royce ONeal. You can see they have him projected for 7.2 rebounds tonight, 7.2 boards. Puts him slightly over 7 rebounds, which is exactly where we need him to be at 7 or more boards in order for this prop to hit. So that is a good first sign of things to come. So we move over to his season averages. You can see he's averaging 6.8 rebounds per game, which again puts him higher than the 6.5 rebounds that he is projected for tonight on PrizePicks. So again, the over still definitely on the table. Let's go down and look at his last handful of games here, his last 5. He's got 11 back on June 8th. Comes down to earth here with just 3. 6 kind of comes close, but doesn't quite cover 6.5. And then his last 2 games, he does cover the 6.5 rebound prop with 8 and 7 respectively. So in his last 5 games, guys, you can see he's got 3 covers and 2 where he failed to cover this 6.5 rebound prop. So let's go look at his averages throughout the playoffs so far. We'll click the stats category. You can see he's appeared in 10 playoff games, playing over 36 minutes per game. Very good minutes per game average for a role player, a lesser known player like Royce ONeal. And you can see he is averaging 7 rebounds, exactly 7 rebounds per game throughout the playoffs. So definitely on the table, guys. The over is definitely looking like a good way to go here on Royce ONeal. Let's cap Royce ONeal off by going to the rebound category here on RotoWire. We'll type in his name, and up comes his rebound prop. Now, he is at 7.5 boards across the industry today. So that kind of leads me to believe that, 7 to 8 boards is definitely possible here with Royce ONeal. I will say, though, that at 7.5 boards, he is a favorite to go under according to these 3 different sports books. -143, -134, and a -143. So yeah, he can go under 7.5 boards, but as long as he's over 6.5 boards, that's all we really care about. So if he lands on 7 rebounds tonight, I'm a happy camper. You will be too, especially if you take the over on Royce ONeal. So definitely digging that one. Now, with that one out of the way, we've got 2 3-point props that are extra intriguing to me tonight. The first one's going to be the Atlanta Hawks point guard, Mr. Trae Young, who is at 2.5 3-point makes today. 2.5 3-point makes is something that Trae Young has been able to cover throughout the playoffs so far. He's coming off of a game where he buried 2 3-pointers. I do expect him to kind of bounce back. I haven't seen in his last 5 games, back-to-back games, where he's fallen under 3 3-point makes. So I think this is a good sign for him to bounce back in this situation. But let's move it over to NBA.com. We'll take a look at Trae Young here. First, we'll click on his stats. We'll switch this from playoffs to regular season, and we'll scroll on down here. And you can see during the regular season, he attempted over 6 3-pointers per game, making 2.2 of them. So that puts him slightly over 2 3-point makes per game. Let's see what happens when we switch this from regular season to playoffs. Well, the 3-point make average goes up, and so does his 3-point attempts average. So he goes over 8.2 3-point attempts per game, making 2.7 of those 3-pointers per game. So that puts him very close to 3 3-point makes. So looking very, very good here. Now let's go back to his profile. Let's look at his last 5 games real quick. We'll go to the 3 p.m. category because that is his 3-point makes. We'll go all the way back to June 6th. He buries 4 3-pointers, covering his prop of 2.5. 1 for 7 here on June 8th, falling short. But then he covers in the next 2 games with 3 3-point makes. And then in his last game, I told you he fell short, making just 2 out of 6 attempts. So this is a closeout game potentially here for the Atlanta Hawks. If they do their job, if they come out and they play aggressive, which I hope Trae Young comes out with, all gas, no brakes, I expect him to be trying to dominate in terms of scoring, maybe getting his teammates involved. So his assists are another one that could be a potential way to go here. But I expect him to bounce back here. Usually when he has a poor shooting performance, let's say like a 1 for 7, he comes back in the next game and answers the call. So let's hope that that is also the case tonight. So with that out of the way, we're going to finish things off by going to RotoWire. Let's look at his 2.5 3-point prop across the industry today. We've got him as a -120 to go over. Not super strong odds, but still the lean is for the over. And then a -130, better position, stronger position there. And then finally a -125. The juice is on the over across the board here on Trae Young and these 2.5 3-point makes. I'm crossing my fingers, hoping he bounces back here and makes 3 3-pointers and plays more aggressive, takes more threes. Hopefully he gets close to like 10 3-point attempts. That would be sweet. I think he definitely goes over 2.5 3-point makes if his attempts are more than 6. So there we go. Trae Young out of the way. I like the over. And the last 3-point prop that I want to talk about, this guy has been the model of consistency at going over 2.5 3-point makes. Now this is even with Kawhi Leonard in the lineup, but now you take Kawhi out of the equation, and I like Reggie Jackson even more. There's more opportunities, more chances for him to take more shots, and more chances for him to go over this prop of 2.5 3-point makes. So let's go back over to NBA.com. Look at Reggie Jackson real quick. Now, he has kind of just come on lately here, and lately I mean, you know, in this playoff run for the Los Angeles Clippers as a 3-point marksman. If you look at his regular season numbers, he attempted just 4.2 3-pointers per game, making 1.8. Now, his percentages were really good, 43%. But watch what happens when we switch this from the regular season to the playoffs. His 4.2 average goes way up. He's now attempting 7.1 3-pointers per game throughout the playoffs, appearing in 12 different games so far, and he's making 3.1 3-point makes per game. So that is a very encouraging sign of hopefully things to come tonight. I do like him to go over this 2.5 3-point prop. Let's go back and look at his last 5 games real quick, and then we'll head on over to RotoWire and cap things off here for Mr. Reggie Jackson. So you can see that throughout the playoffs here in his last 5 games, he covers with 3, covers with 4, covers with 5. Now, he did not cover back on June 14th in this series, failing to make either one of his 2 3-point attempts, but he comes back to life here with 3 3-point makes on 8 attempts. So his percentages have just been outstanding: 60%, 50%, 83%, and 37.5%. So I really like Reggie Jackson to continue the success that he's had throughout the playoffs so far. So we're going to finish things off, like I said, looking at RotoWire here for Reggie Jackson and this 3-point prop. Where's he at? There he is at 2.5 on 2 different books. They got him as a -143 to go over. Very encouraging sign. And a -142 to go over. Again, a very encouraging sign. This is one of those situations where we don't have to overthink it. Let's just ride the hot hand, ride this thing until the wheels fall off, and hope that Reggie Jackson continues his hot shooting streak from beyond the arc. I'm digging it. I'm taking the over on Reggie Jackson at 2.5 3-point makes. If you don't like Reggie Jackson at 2.5 3-point makes and you're looking for another prop to take Reggie Jackson in, consider maybe Reggie Jackson under 3.5 assists. That was one that kind of caught my eye. That's another way you could go as a little bit of a bonus pick, we'll say. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget, #Follower Friday on Twitter. Make sure you're following me at Curry the Creator. I'll be tweeting out probably a 2-pick NBA power play. Maybe I'll pick a couple of the guys from today's video. We'll try to put together the right combination to help you guys win 25% extra of money, you know, the payout boost that you get anytime you tail my exact line. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name's CJ. Make sure you're subscribed, notifications turned on, guys. Like this video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace out.